We want to talk now about water rights with our agricultural law specialist, Shannon Ferrell. And Shannon, you and the team have worked on this Oklahoma Water Law Handbook. And one of the first things you do is sort out the two major classifications of water in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, when it comes to allocating our water rights, we kind of divide our water into two big systems. Groundwater, which would just be the water that's underneath the ground that you own on the surface, and then stream water. And when we talk about stream water, we don't just mean water in streams or rivers, but we also mean lakes that were formed by damming a stream or river like the lake that we're on today.
Okay, and if I'm thinking about water rights, what kind of things do I need to know?
Okay, first off, a really important fact for Oklahoma landowners to bear in mind is that you can make use of your groundwater underneath the land that you own for what we call domestic uses, and you don't need a permit for that. That's just a natural right of owning the surface. And when we talk about domestic uses, we mean things like household uses, cooking, cleaning, sanitation. We mean watering orchards or gardens if they're for your personal use. Watering livestock if you're just carrying your livestock at the grazing capacity of your land. The same thing applies for stream water. If you own land on the stream, you can make use of stream water for those same uses, and you don't have to have a stream water permit.
And what kind of things do I need to have a permit for?
Okay, if you're going to use water for anything that's above that domestic use, let's say for example we want to put in a center pivot irrigation system, or if we want to water the livestock that are in a feed yard, then we need to get an appropriation of that water, groundwater or stream water, it doesn't make any difference. We'll have to apply for a permit from the OWRB. And in that permit, what you'll do is you'll specify what you're using the water for, how much water you need, and then you'll show some calculations and data to support why you're asking for that amount of water. And in most cases, if you can support that and there's enough water left to be allocated, you'll receive that allocation. After you've got that permit, then on an annual basis, you'll report how much water you're using so that OWRB can keep tabs on their water use statistics.
Do you think for some landowners that reporting process and permitting process doesn't sit very well, because after all it is on their land?
Right, and if you're a landowner, for example, and you're talking about your groundwater, you kind of feel like, well, I own the land, shouldn't I own all the water underneath it? And our legal system in Oklahoma as of right now does make some sort of an allowance for that. When we're talking about a groundwater application, for example, if I can prove the calculations and justify the request, the law says that the groundwater permit shall be issued. So in other words, they shouldn't try to obstruct that if you can prove that you've done the application process successfully. A little different on the stream water side of things, because in Oklahoma's legal system, stream water is regarded as a resource of the state. So what you're really doing when you're applying for a stream water permit is you're asking for some of the state's resource, and that's why that process is a little bit more difficult to complete than the groundwater process.
That's an important distinction. If I'm a landowner and I haven't thought about my water rights in 20, 30 or more years, what do I need to do in today's water climate, so to speak?
Well, and water is becoming a more and more hot commodity, and there's a lot more demand out there than there had to be, so lots of landowners are thinking about their water rights. If you suspect that there may have been some sort of transaction with your water rights, perhaps a previous owner leased groundwater rights, for example, to someone else, you can check on that. You can contact the OWRB, and they maintain records of those water appropriation permits. So as long as the permit was applied for, they'll have a record of that. It can show you kind of the lineage of what those water rights are with respect to your property.
And it's probably a good idea to sort all that out.
Absolutely.
Okay, Shannon Ferrell, our agricultural law specialist, thank you very much. And for a link to the Oklahoma Water Law Handbook, just go to the SUNUP website, sunup.OKState.EDU.